Well, crap. This episode might feel like a little bit of deja vu to everyone out there. And if it does, don't worry, you're not alone. We're back in the shed, LS apart. Kind of reminds me of, 4 months ago when I was doing a similar sort of thing. And we're pretty much blown up another LS1 engine somehow. So that is not good at all. Pretty disheartening. I got probably about 2.5 hours of running time out of it before it dropped to 7 cylinders. And at that point it was pretty much gone. It still ran obviously, but yeah, she's not had a good time. So figured that out by firstly pulling out the plugs. You can see back here we've got some good gaps that you'd expect. However, these 2 cylinders here, they've got, well, this one's got pretty much no gap at all, and this one has no gap entirely and wasn't firing. So that would be the cause of our misfire that we've had to deal with during the entirety of the comp. So that explains that a little bit, but it's only half the story. So we come down here, I've taken the valve covers off, and all of this valve cover is nice and milky. All the oil on it has, got intermixed with water. I grabbed my little camera that I can stick down the spark plug hole. Sure enough, 2 pistons are missing their ringlands, and one of them has water on top of the piston. So I think we've got another cracked bore, which is just so fantastic. So now we're going to pull the heads off, or at least that head off, and figure out what the go is, because that's going to tell us a lot more of what the issue was. At the moment, I'm not really sure 100% what caused the problem with the engine. I've looked through the logs. O2 seemed fine. It was 13:1. We've got 23 degrees of timing, which is reasonably conservative. We've got plenty of headroom for injector and no fuel pressure issues. So bit of a loss at the moment, but hopefully pulling this cylinder head off is going to give us a bit more of a clue. I'm guessing it either leaned out or it had too much timing or something along those lines. But exhaust manifold off, head off. We get to figure out how I managed to blow this thing up. So heads off the engine now, and it's pretty much the shit sandwich we expected. Taking a look down here, you can see a bit of ringland missing on this piston, bit of ringland missing on this piston, and also more crucially there's a crack just along the deck there, and there's a crack that goes all the way down the bore. So that's no good. The only good part here is the heads aren't too badly damaged. I can't really see anything too wrong with them other than a little bit of scratching on the bottom side of the valve. So I'm assuming once again that the parts of the piston went out the exhaust port and didn't really do too much damage to this part of the cylinder head. We'll have to pull the valves out to make sure that that isn't damaging any of the valves more internally that we can't see, or any of the seats for the valves. But anyway, that is pretty much the only good part here. The rest of it's pretty terrible. So where do we go from here? Well, I've started looking into the things that were the same across the 2 engines, because obviously they've done the same thing, or roughly the same thing. So the only things that are really the same are, we've got the heads cam is the same as the last one. Technically the oil pickup and that kind of oiling system is too, but obviously not an oiling issue. So we've also got the same intake, but we've got different injectors, and we've got the same intake piping as we have in the past. We've got the same computer, the same wiring loom, and the same person tuning it. So they're the things that are actually the same. The only thing is, I can't spot anything in the logs that would cause this, and I've had a pretty good look through them. The car was logging at the time. There's nothing there that stands out to me as being an issue. So, I mean, it's easy to just try and push blame onto someone, and I know people often try to push blame onto tuners. But the reality is, there's nothing in there that I would have done anything different or have been able to spot that was going to cause this issue. So I can't blame anyone at all. It's just something we're going to have to work through. So that's where we're up to. I'm going to have to rebuild the engine. I've got another block, which I'll show you guys in a minute. That's actually the old block that we fixed up and we've got welded. So that is probably going to be the block we're going to use going forward. An obvious engine rebuild, put the same heads on it. So I'm going to try everything that I can think of to make a difference, because at this point I'm not 100% sure what the actual issue is that's causing this. So thinking I might run it on E85. It'll make the engine a bit cooler to start with, so they don't have to do so many cool down laps, but also it's much less likely to knock on E85. So that's probably a good start. What else can we do? We've got probably going to do something with the air intake pipe, because those IATs were getting up there about 70 degrees, which is bloody hot for air coming into the engine. That can cause detonation from what I hear, so might do something so it gets a bit more cool air into the engine. Otherwise, yeah, I've got knock sensors on the way. We did try and get the knock sensors, the factory ones, working before this round, before it blew up, but we had some problems where the link, it was basically too noisy for the link to be able to pick them up. So we weren't able to do that. So I've got the donut style aftermarket ones on the way. So hopefully we'll be able to log knock and put some bits and pieces in place where if it does start knocking, we can pull timing out and save the engine that way. And I'll probably, I might get someone else just to look at the tuning also, just another set of eyes. Like I said, I can't spot anything wrong with what was happening to the car from the ECU on the logging side, but another set of eyes or another thought process into it wouldn't hurt. And like I said, I'm going to chuck everything, including the kitchen sink, at this coming up to see if we can get some reliability out of it. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're up to with this thing. And I'll go out the back and I'll show you what's happened with the original block that cracked, because we've had some work done on that. Well, just to round out this video, I've actually got the original block here, the one that we blew up at round 4 last year. That is, it's had a bit of work done to it. The cylinder that was that had the cracking, the sleeve's been removed. It's been all welded up by a professional welder, and he reckons it come up pretty good with minimal warpage of the rest of the block. So that's going to get a new sleeve and going to be decked so that it's all good to go. And I reckon this is going to be the block that we use for the rest of the year, but we're probably looking at least 2 months or more downtime. So yeah, this season's kind of gone like me trying to shoot this video. I've just been smacked in the head, and yeah, good times. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. Fucking wind.